Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining Coffee and Conversation right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm really pleased to introduce Andrea from Yacht Dames. How are you?
Hi, I am great. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, well, I mean, the exciting news is after the interview that you did on Luxury with Natalia, we had a little chat, and you've agreed to come on board Yachting International Radio with your own show called Women in Yachting, because, of course, you're Yacht Dames, and you have access to all these amazing, amazing women in the yachting industry. And we thought it would be a great way for not only you to bring these women to light for the entire industry.
Yeah, I'm super excited because especially with my channel has been very focused on what women will make it to the show in a way. So I'm so excited for women in yachting. There's so many amazing women out there that I'm just more than thrilled to shed a spotlight on them.
Well, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Venezuela. I get asked all the time, what I think is hilarious. Do I speak Spanish? Yes, I've been practicing for 25 years. I lived there until I was 25. Then I moved to the States, did a master's here. That's the only reason I moved. And then with my country not being in the best place, I stayed in the States. And pretty much my life has been pivoting ever since. From architect, interior design, to yacht interior design, to travel blogger, to media. And now here I work at Vayner Media with Vayner Speakers, creating as a marketing director. So that's just how it's been.
You're constantly moving and constantly changing. So as far as yachting goes, when you were a kid and sort of growing up, was yachting a focus of yours, or was that not something that was even on your sort of spectrum, as it were?
Not even a blimp. And my dad, we used to even had a sailboat. I so wish that we had been taught to sail, but that was not part of our DNA, I guess. And after I moved to the States, to Florida, my dad would beg me to please go to see the shows and pretty much tell him what I would see. And I never understood why if I wasn't going to buy one. So I never took him up on that. I only really got immersed in the yachting industry after from a hilarious way to get in. I was playing rugby. My friend was in the yachting industry. I didn't know what the hell that meant. And I became one of those women that go this is the boat. And the only thing I actually knew about the yacht was that you had to take off your shoes. That was it. I didn't even know how to call the fender. So that boat I almost actually hit the dock pretty nasty, but finally with mimics and stuff, I was able to run and put a fender on. That's how I really got into the yachting industry. It was supposed to be only a side thing, just help out at the shows and so on, but making good connections. I stayed in touch with the people that I would meet, captains and other people working the show, and that evolved into me moving interior design from a residential and commercial path into the yachting industry. So that's how that thing played out.
So, I mean, yachting then is something that you were more, it was the design aspect of things. And so what took you then from design over to what you do now?
That, sadly, the answer is environment. Yeah. I worked at a shipyard based in Florida, and my ecosystem wasn't optimal for a woman in a construction site. There was those constant vocabulary things or activities that now that I am removed from it, I can't even believe I survived them, or that was normal for me. If it wasn't for that, I honestly don't think I would have ever left. I think I would have actually dug deeper and moved to, I don't know, maybe somewhere in the Netherlands and been more in touch with the construction side of it and something like that. But the environment did push me to see what else did I enjoy about life, and that was travel. And then I realized that the only way now to convey a story is through social media. So I had to learn what was Instagram, why were people even posting on it, and a couple of years later, that's what actually landed me this job, teaching people in consulting basis and working here full time. So that's pretty much how that went.
So then you got into this, and then did you start Yacht Dames once you became here, or did you start that a few years before?
Yacht Dame started last year. Last year, I separated myself from that shipyard in February. And I was hustling with my travel blog and selling myself to the yachting industry because those were the people I knew professionally, to teach them how to do social media for their business, and nobody would respond to me. They didn't see the value in it. They didn't understand why Twitter was even a thing or why Instagram had any value for them as brokers. So when I went to the Monaco Yacht Show for my very first time, I had zero plan. I was just like there, like sponge, like what can I learn and what can I take out of this? I realized the only way to talk to people in this industry is to show them with their own vocabulary. And that I think is one of the biggest hurdles people face when they are not part of the industry, is that they don't speak our language. Yeah. And that's when Yacht Dame, I was like, it has to be something. It has a yacht word and has a Dame. That's who I am. And then it was like, but what is the content? I have been for 4 years not knowing this, getting into the mindset of speaking for women just because of what I would see in the industry. And the more I would speak of it, like you don't want to say anything, but then you have a small conversation and then you see that they had the same experience and they had the same experience. And then when I thought, okay, let's just join whatever association is out there so we can, promote women, there wasn't any. So that's how it became the topic of Yacht Dame, promote women in the industry, that if I had knew existed, I would have probably stuck in yachting and shipbuilding longer. Just know that there were other paths. I didn't know. I only knew what was right in front of me. And that is pretty much why I love Yacht Dame, because it is showing people that I've only taken one lane, that there's actually so many others that you can really just pivot. Pivot was in my mind inexistent. I only knew if you were an architect, this is what you do. Like, you were done. If you didn't pick wisely at 18, you're that's it. That's why.
Well, and I mean, that's something for us here as well at Yachting International Radio. The fact that, I have a lot of female friends that are in yachting and they didn't seem to have a voice, and a lot of the stories were similar. So when I was able to take a look, and I encourage all the listeners and viewers out there, if you have not seen Yacht Dame yet, check it out on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, because, the stories there is absolutely some of the most interesting stories, and it's really good. It's good for us to see what other people struggle through, and to see the inspirational women that you have up there as well. Women that in a traditional role that a male has had in the past, they've managed to overcome all those obstacles and come out on top. And most of the ones that you have on Yacht Dame are shore-based, aren't they?
They're all land-based. That is actually one of the requirements I pretty much had. I was very happy to know that when I made that one of my requirements, there was someone else promoting everybody that was crew. So it was great. It was like, well, she's promoting everybody that's crew. I'm promoting everybody that's land-based. So both of them are getting a good spotlight. But yes, it was mainly mainland, not on purpose. That was the part of the industry I actually knew. And if you see on my feed, the majority of the news isn't what boat is sold. It's more about technology and the shipbuilding. So the product itself on yachting, which is the yacht, and everything that surrounds that ecosystem. Again, I think without knowing, I went back to my roots, which was construction. And so the people that I started knowing about were people that were running shipyards and so on. And they thankfully have redirected me to other people they've met. So I have spread out. But yeah, it is land-based for sure.
So the great thing about this, though, is that, now I'm sure being in doing what you've done for the amount of time, you have come across a lot of women that work at sea. But because it doesn't quite fit the Yacht Dame criteria, you haven't actually been able to feature them. So with this show, will you be featuring more and more of these women that are at sea?
I will. I'm very excited to see, because even though I haven't featured them, I do watch many of the ones that are influencers for the cruise sector. And a good friend of mine is Corinne, and because she's also in this podcast. And I see how much they have overcome, and so many things that I never thought of, because I was crew, but I didn't have a career as a crew. So again, it was a little bit harder for me to know where to find these people, but thankfully through social media, I am going to be able to find those that are empowering that sector and bring them onto the show.
Well, and that's the great thing about social media right there. It's like you said, when you went to Monaco Yacht Show, a lot of these sort of traditional forms of advertising weren't social media. They were a bit afraid of it. But the power that is social media is literally taking over the world. You see more and more now when you see the shows. There was a couple of shows just lately coming up on LinkedIn. Ironically enough, that's all I get my news feed from is social media. But they are now teaching people that social media is the place to go now for your marketing, no matter what, whether it be for crew or whether it be for shipbuilding, whether it be for selling boats or brokerage firms. Social media seems to be the sort of hot ticket.
That was another reason I created Yachting. It was one of the ways to see, like, everything I'm telling you and you see no value in, I'm going to do it for myself with no real brand behind me. I'm not for Mercedes, Ahisen, people that the moment you open your channel, you already have fans on it. No, nobody knew who Yachting was. Nobody really cared. And I show them, it's just like, you don't really have to have big numbers. It's who is following you. And look, and I just share openly, like, how the reach of the news is getting. And I tell them, this is not me trying to convince you. This is a black and white number statistics. Take it or leave it. If you don't want to be part of the ride, that's completely fine. But it's really hard now that you have numbers to turn a blind eye. It's very easy when things are subjective, but they're not subjective anymore. And I think in the last year, there has been a huge rise of people that had never thought of being in this social media game. We see them a lot on LinkedIn. I didn't know how many people in the yachting industry, professionals, are promoting themselves and putting out good content, not only content that is beneficial for them, like, look at how amazing I did to sell this, but they will get you a tour through the yacht or through the shipyard, things that I would have never seen a launch. I still haven't been physically at a launch, but Amos, he's in, Mr. Super Yacht, so many other influencers have taken me there to see the keel. And I think now people see what is important, the ROI. The revenue, the actual dollars, because a lot of people think this is a hobby. And if you don't see that it actually converts into your business, why would I spend time on a hobby?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing is, I was talking to another gentleman the other day, and he introduced me to Super Yacht Captain. They have just been up and running for maybe a year. They already have 78,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. I mean, and they're making money just off having a YouTube channel with that many subscribers. There's actual people that pay to have their ads placed, in the middle of, which I find really irritating on YouTube. Actually, you're watching a video and all of a sudden an ad pops up and you're like, oh, but I mean, they're getting paid money for that.
I have to tell you, they actually control how many ads pop in.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you can do it even by video. You can do a whole video being, I only want my audience to be cut once and have an ad, or I want it to be ad free. There's so many revenues from, if you're talking about YouTube, and I'm going really short into this. If I get so many views, YouTube pays me. If I have the products that I use to promote, to do this video, or I'm sure what people, if they want to follow me and they want to do exactly what I do, I can even have products directly to Amazon, and every time someone clicks on them, I get money. They're just endless amounts of ways to make money through social media that some people are exploring, and in the yachting industry has been so behind that some people are seeing huge, big spikes in growth just by producing content that is reposted content. They're not even creating it, and they're already banking on creating an edited place where people can find what other amazing videos are out there. So you don't have to be a professional videographer to actually get into this, to the social media game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're living, you've shown everybody, I mean, watching your career and sort of doing a little bit of research on you, anybody would benefit. I mean, I'm actually benefiting already. We've had a chat a couple of times, and the things that you've taught me and the wealth of knowledge that you have, I have to say, anybody that ever looked at you and said, oh no, we're not interested, they were crazy, because they don't know what they missed.
To be like, I told you.
It's insane because I mean, in what I think we spoke half an hour the other day, and the wealth of information was probably worth, 3 months of my hard work with, not really knowing that knowledge. And in, 30 minutes, you were able to sort of, give me 3 months worth of knowledge, and it was absolutely brilliant. So I would highly recommend anybody needing those types of services, get a hold of Andrea. But in the meantime, we're really looking forward to Women in Yachting coming up and having you host this show. I think it's going to be weekly, or do you have time for that?
I will work with Ria actually, and the first thing I'll do is I'll create a list of all the women. We'll have a talk and a conversation, because I would love that the women that I'm going to be promoting and hosting on Yachting with International Yacht Radio to also be in sync with the other women that are producing the other shows. So maybe we're talking about a show topic that Marcella did about business, and we'll spin it off to also a yacht dame or a women in yachting and so forth. So the number, ideally, it will be one every 2 weeks. And I will say that I will commit to a number, because as we all know in social media, consistency is one of the things that will get you to success. You can't post every day for a week and then disappear for 3 months. That does not.
Yeah. No. Well, we're looking forward to, your availability and for the amazing interviews that I'm sure you're going to send our way, and they're going to be very interesting as well, and hopefully an inspiration to women around the world, whether they be shore-based or sea-based, with their careers in yachting.
I am so excited.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Andrea. I know you are at your job right now, so we're going to have to let you go before somebody comes knocking on the door. But thank you for your time, and we so look forward to seeing your show when it airs, coming real soon. Stay tuned to this forum, all the forums, and we'll let you know when Andrea's first show is coming up. Take care, and thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much. And if you have any recommendations, please, in the comments, leave who do you think should be in the channel and who wants to be there. I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you.
Excellent. You've been watching an episode of Coffee and Conversation. My name is Ria. I am your host. This is Yachting International Radio.